today. What makes a Gareth McDonald piece of music? It's got to have at least one key change in it. And In the Love of Jesus, I think, has 5. And In the Love, just so you know, I was feeling inspired at one point, and so I put out on Facebook, what should I do? What arrangement would you like to hear? And it was Matt who suggested In the Love of Jesus. And In the Secret of Thy Presence came because Mark spoke to me about that piece of Eric Bull. So inspiration comes all over the place. As I mentioned before, this is like my prayer language. This is how I communicate with God a great deal. And the lyrics are the key. So you would, many of us being salvos here, would be familiar with the Songster's Standard. I bring them to Jesus. And so I looked at the words. And the first verse says, I bring my heart to Jesus with its fears, with its hopes and feelings, and its tears. And immediately it brought to mind, this is a prayer. And so what I did was I changed from the 12/8 feel. I brought it down a lot slower. And so what we end up with is a very pared back arrangement. In the Love of Jesus happened within, I think, around 2 hours, which is really strange because harmonically it's one of the more complex pieces that I play, but it was just the inspiration was there at the time. I hope this doesn't bore people too much, but I just thought, I've never done launch before. What would people want to hear? Well, I'm with the microphone and you have no choice. Sometimes one song has 4 different tunes, and other times one song has one tune that I use 4 different ways. So I'll just give you an example of that. Again, another Songster's Standard. It was for me, yet even me. A song that we probably sang every Easter for years. So I've taken those words. The first verse I used that tune. The second verse is a sort of, I love a minor key reworking, and so the second verse I use, he wipes the tear. So he wipes the tear is the tune there, and the words, O sinner, see for you and me, he freely suffers in our stead. And lo, he dies upon the tree, behold, he bows his sacred head. It was for me, yet even me. And I'll throw in another old chorus. Can you wonder, why it is I love him so? O loving Saviour, take my heart, no longer can I live from thee. This one came out of left field. The English choral writer, John Rutter, has a piece called What Sweeter Music, which I think is a Christmas song. But I actually used that tune, O loving Saviour, take my heart, no longer can I live from thee. Here's just a brief explanation of one song for 4 different ways to use the same tune. The song is Silent and Still, and I don't know if you're overly familiar with it. It is one of my favourite Easter songs. Silent and still I stand before the weeping tree, whereon the Son of Man pours out his life for me. O sin of man, O love of God, O cleansing, efficacious flood. You don't use the word efficacious very often, so you may as well use it. And we would traditionally sing that to the tune of Brantwood. I didn't use that tune for two reasons, and the main reason is that the tune's more recognised with I Know Thee Who Thou Art. The other reason was that at the time the staff band was playing a Brendan Broadstock arrangement of Brantwood. Not that I'd do the same thing as Brendan, but I looked at the back of the songbook, which is my friend, the metrical index, which for Lillian Platts means that I destroyed her Christmas carols. So we sing, I wanted to take time to be holy and things like that. But I found a tune by Bramble Coles called Evening. Very basic, similar to I bring them to Jesus for the first verse. In the second verse I use a minor key variation. The second verse says, the Saviour asks no tears. Weep for me, weep not for me, he cries, yet all our broken years are mirrored in his eyes. We change keys because that's what I do. The third verse, Fain, I would hide my eyes from love so torn with pain. So it's very percussive. So very percussive, trying to get that idea of the pain that Jesus took for us. The last verse is a triumphant verse for me, and once for all, our Saviour willing dies, His mercy's tender call rings out upon the skies. O man, upon that weeping tree, in penitence we come to thee. So it's a much more triumphant variation of that. The last thing I'd say about my process is sometimes opportunity meets inspiration. So in a couple of weeks' time, Ringwood will have their annual cancer concert, and last year Mark asked me to play in the memorial segment of after. So the band plays every year. The band plays I Know Thou Art Mine, and then people are given the opportunity to come and light a candle in memory of someone with cancer, and then to give the band an opportunity to take part. There'll be other music, and so he asked me to play. And I Know Thou Art Mine finishes in the key of D flat, which is good because if it was in sharps I wouldn't have done anything with it. But and the line that came to me was, I dare not take one step without thy aid, which is from a song, Hold Thou My Hand. A little thing about Hold Thou My Hand. Because I don't use music, when we recorded, those in the booth just had to tell the engineer what I was playing. And when we got the first cut back, Hold Thou My Hand was Hold Down My Hands. Which, some sort of Pentecostal reform movement that was happening. But I remembered, that's the traditional tune of Hold down my hands. But I remembered there's a Chicago stuff band CD, Music for Little Children, and on that CD was a trombone solo arrangement of Michael Kenyon's own tune, his own trombone arrangement of his own tune, Hold Down My Hand. And so, again, lyric is key when I write. So, and I felt, well, if I'm going to follow that, let's start with that chord. And then what came to me is Hold Down My Hand. And to be honest with you, the introduction just, like you've heard with a couple of others today, it just flows. And the tune. That give you a little insight into how I write my music. Thank you everyone for coming, I really appreciate it.